Hi, I'm Pam, and I'm here with my monthly update video telling you everything that I was up to in the month of September. So I've got a number of updates for last month. First of all, me and my friend Michelle have started a brand new podcast, which is called Point and Drink Adventure. We have so far only put out one episode, but we'll be recording probably every 3 weeks or so. If you're familiar with PD's Power Hour, which I've mentioned on here a number of times, it's basically a podcast that kind of combines PD's Power Hour with my old podcast Media Mavens. So we talk a bit about a particular drink and sort of share some knowledge and do a little tasting of that. And then we talk about all of the games, movies, podcasts, books that we've been enjoying or maybe not enjoying. And we've got one episode so far. You can find the podcast. Again, it's called Point and Drink Adventure. You can find it on any podcast app of your choice, or you can find the YouTube channel, which is the same name, where there are video versions of the podcast. Next, I was a guest on another podcast just last night, at least as I'm recording this, probably not as you're seeing this. It's called Games, I Guess, and it has 3 hosts. One is a game critic, one is a game developer, and one is a voice actor. And they talk all about video games, sort of a bit about what we've been playing. There's a sort of deeper dive on one specific game. While I was on, it was Disco Elysium, which is very fitting since it's one of my favorite games and what I'm currently playing through on Twitch. There's a hot take in there. This time it was about The Last of Us, and it was a very spicy take. And then there were some questions as well, and it was a really fun time. Go check out that podcast. I will leave a link in the description. Again, you can find it on any podcast app, or you can find it on the YouTube channel Whizfish. And lastly, another video that I had a brief cameo in. 2 of my friends have a musical video game rap duo called Briz and Diddles, and they have a song that is based on Resident Evil called Pass Me That Herb. And a few months back, a bunch of us all gathered together and filmed a video to go along with this song. They wrote an extra verse for Michelle, who played Jill Valentine in the video. I dressed up as Ada Wong, even though she's not in Resident Evil 1, but that's what I had in my wardrobe that could work as cosplay, and we had a lot of fun filming the video. It's a really fun song, and the video is very silly, and you should go check it out if you haven't already. I will link to that in the description as well. So now on to pickups, and there were just 2 things this month that I picked up that were gaming related. The first, I mentioned last time when I was at MagFest, I got some prints by the Renaissance, or the Gamescape artist he also goes by, and while I was there, I entered a draw for an original painting, and I won it. So this is it. I just got it in the mail a couple weeks ago. It is based on Link's Awakening, which is a game, I never played the original, but I played the Switch one that came out a couple years ago, and it's just really, really nice. It's this beautiful landscape that's just sort of like subtly inspired by the game, which I really like. So I've got this hung up near my front door now, and it's awesome. And the other pickup, which I've been waiting for a while, is the Risk of Rain soundtrack on vinyl. Risk of Rain was a fantastic co-op game. I really liked playing through this with 3 friends, and it has a very good soundtrack that sort of goes from jazzy to psychedelic to rock. It's just a fun, sort of fast-paced game where you get just dozens of upgrades. This set is pretty cool because I think this is actually made from recycled vinyl, so everyone looks a little bit different, and it's just a really fun soundtrack. The first disc is on my player on my turntable at the moment, but yeah, I ordered this a number of months back, and it just arrived. In terms of the games I played this month, there's actually less this month than there usually are. I'm trying to figure out why that is. I think it's because I've been playing a lot of Yakuza Like a Dragon, but I haven't finished it yet, so I will wait to talk about it. I also just took up rock climbing, which has been a lot of fun, and it's nice to use my hands for something other than video games. But for what I did actually play and complete, the first thing was Islets, which I did a full review of. If you haven't seen that, please go watch it. It didn't get watched by enough people, I think. And it's just a really adorable Metroidvania that's not overly challenging, not punishing at all. It's just like this nice, smooth experience that combines the regular platforming with some like flying bullet hell fights, which is really interesting. So I really liked Islets and I recommend it to anyone. The second thing I finished was Escape Academy, which I've been playing for a little while. This is a game basically all about escape rooms. So if you can see me doing something, Lily's head is on the couch in front of me, so I'm just petting her so she stays quiet. Escape Academy is made by a group of people who actually made like real life escape rooms, but with the pandemic and they couldn't do that, they decided they would make a video game. And as a result, it's a very good escape room game. There's a series of rooms that you have to escape from. They've all got sort of different themes, different kinds of puzzles. There's like a variety of things: word puzzles, number puzzles, spatial puzzles, pushing stuff around. And it was a lot of fun. It is a game you can play co-op, either online or couch co-op. I played it through all couch co-op with a friend, and I definitely recommend playing it with a friend. I think you can play through single player, but it probably wouldn't be nearly as much fun, and a lot of the time, like, you have to look at something sort of on one wall of a room to enter a code somewhere else in a room. So, I mean, I guess you can just write everything down, but it's just easier and more fun to have someone there to like call out things and puzzle things out with. So I had a lot of fun with Escape Academy. Puzzle games are really fun to play with someone else. So I definitely hope that these developers make more in the future because it was really excellent. Another game I played, which I've had sitting on my shelf for a while, is Cyvariar Delta, and this is on Switch. One day in September, the power was out in my building for the entire day. And as the day went on and I got more bored and all of my devices ran out of batteries, I thought, hey, a reason to use your Switch in handheld mode. So I played Cyvariar Delta because I didn't want to play anything that lasted too long. Honestly, not great in handheld mode. Everything is very, very small. The game was very short. I don't know if, I mean, I'm sure there's more content as you play different ships or take different routes, but I think I finished it in about 20 minutes or so. Overall, I just felt it was kind of forgettable overall. It was, yeah, there's nothing really that stood out too much about it. It was just, you know, a shoot 'em up that kind of blends in with a lot of other ones. And yeah, definitely, I might have liked it better if it was on a bigger screen, but as it was, I just felt I felt very little about it. And the next thing I beat was Return to Monkey Island, which was one of my anticipated games from this year. I was very excited when the announcement came out that we would be getting a new Monkey Island. This was developed by Ron Gilbert and Dave Grossman, who made the original game. I didn't follow the sort of news about it too much. Sorry, Lily, stop touching the table and moving my camera. I didn't follow it too much because I kind of wanted it to be a surprise, but when it did come out, I got it first day and almost immediately fell in love with it. It looks beautiful, all the voice acting is great, the writing is funny as I would expect it to be, and the puzzles were all pretty good and not overly difficult. I also have a review of Return to Monkey Island that I made sort of impromptu that you should watch if you haven't seen it. That also hasn't been watched nearly enough, but somehow my Evergreen game video, which took me like 5 minutes to put together, has done like 3 times as much as it. But yeah, if you want to see what I thought of Return to Monkey Island, go check out my review. And the last thing I finished is called Tinykin. This is another new game. It came out on Xbox. I think it came out in September. And this is a 3D sort of collect-a-thon puzzle game. I've heard people compare it to Pikmin. I've never played a Pikmin, but you get a bunch of like little guys who each have their own thing. Like some can blow things up, some can make you a stairway that you can climb up, some can... what else can they do? They can do other things as well, like build a ladder. So it's just going through and you are this tiny little guy and you go out and you like pick up all these little dudes that can help you find things. You have to collect a certain number of items or certain items in each level in order to progress. And then there's also just general collectibles that you can find. And it was a lot of fun. It's another game that was just a very smooth experience, like kind of frictionless, like nice movement, really fun and engaging to play, really, really cute art direction. And it was nice to just sort of explore these worlds as this tiny little guy, and you're like mixing things in a mixing bowl in a giant kitchen, or you're going through and like a toy racetrack that looks giant to you. And I had a lot of fun with it. It was about maybe 7 or 8 hours long, and yeah, I played through that until I finished it, and I thought it was great fun. Sorry, I've got a little Lily break because I stopped petting her. Like, come up here then. You just got me covered in fur. Thank you. Thank you. I don't want this. Okay. Okay. Thanks. Oh, dog. You're gonna sit on my lap? Really? You're gonna sit in my lap? Thank you. You're a nice little baby. You're a nice little baby, even though you're a giant pain in the ass. Can you get me a lint roller, please? Can you get me a lint roller? Thanks. I don't need kisses. I need a lint roller. Now, there were also a number of games I played and decided to retire in September. The first one is Chorus, and this, I can't remember if it came out this year or last year, but it's sort of a flight game, kind of, I don't know, Star Foxy almost. And you have this ship, you're in the ship the entire time, and you're just going through and doing missions, escorting ships, fighting bad guys. You're doing barrel rolls. Well, actually, I don't think there's a barrel roll, which I felt was a gap in the gameplay mechanics. But you've got sort of special abilities, like your ship can warp to other things. Oh, also your ship is sentient. There was a lot of story, which I didn't care about at all. But I found it really fun. Like, I was having a lot of fun with the gameplay, just the general, like, dog fighting was really good. I also started playing this a while ago, right after I saw Top Gun Maverick, so I was, like, in a dog fighting mood. But it was good. I just found I got to a point where I was like, okay, I've seen everything this game has to offer. I'm ready to move along now. So I definitely think it's worth checking out. Like, it's fun. I like the mechanics a lot. It just didn't keep me enthralled enough to play through the entire campaign. Another thing I played briefly was Serious Sam 4. On our Wednesday co-op nights, one of our co-op buddies was not able to play, so we were looking for something we could play with 3 people, and we settled on Serious Sam 4, which is one of the worst games I've ever played. I've never played any of the previous Serious Sams, but this is just the most generic first/third person shooter. You can switch between them as you like. You fight a bunch of monster demon things. It kind of feels like partially a Doom ripoff with the monsters and partially a Duke Nukem ripoff with the main character. The whole thing is just like very floaty and frictionless. Like, it feels like you're just sort of floating through the air. It doesn't feel like there's proper collision with enemies or anything. There's really nothing interesting. It's just run and shoot, run and shoot, run and shoot. Just enemies, enemies, enemies. There's nothing to like break it up with anything other than just shooting these guns that all kind of feel the same. So it was just not good. The text on screen was so minuscule that no one could read it. Some of the controls were just very, very awkward. Like switching guns was more awkward than it needed to be. There's nothing like a grenade or anything. Like there's some special abilities you can get, but it's a pain to switch between them. They're not that interesting to use. It was just not a fun game at all. I think we got through maybe 4 missions, but we decided after that game night was over, we would not be returning to Serious Sam 4. Another game that I was originally quite taken with, but slowly or fairly quickly lost interest in, is called Circus Electrique, and I did play this on stream at some point. It just came out last month. This is a sort of turn-based strategy management game, very similar to Darkest Dungeon, except rather than being all eldritch and fun, it is sort of like circus-themed, sort of early 19th century, I think, kind of steampunk-ish. And you're in this circus, and something has happened that's just turned people very, very aggressive against each other, and you're trying to figure out exactly how that happened. There's a whole bunch of stuff that just doesn't go well. First of all, I got it on Xbox, and while at first I was streaming it to my PC for streaming, actually trying to play it on a TV across the room, the text is far too tiny to be able to make it out, which really sucks. I wish game developers would watch my video on too small text in video games, because it's a problem still after all of these years. But just, I don't know, the way that it was made wasn't interesting. Like the turn-based combat felt like a slog, like everything took a long time to die. For some reason, when you go out into the world, you can only get into 2 battles, and then you go back to the circus. And then when you're at the circus, the management is just weird things like putting together a circus show, and it's like, well, the flamethrower doesn't like to work with the strongman, but the strongman likes to work with the clown, and like trying to put together a show for, I mean, I guess you're running a circus, so it makes sense, but it wasn't interesting to put that together each time. And yeah, I just decided I would play Darkest Dungeon again in order to scratch that particular itch, because it was just, the design of it just wasn't working for me. So that's it for this update video. I feel like it was a little shorter than they've been lately. Leave me a comment and let me know what you've been playing, if you got any interesting pickups or have any recommendations for me. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Don't forget to go subscribe to the Point and Drink Adventure YouTube channel, check out the Resident Evil video, and my episode on the Games I Guess podcast. I have a Patreon if you want to support my channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.